Okay, hi there. So in this part of the video, we are going to look at two ideas, which are functions and indentations, okay, in Python. Alright, so in order to start that, let's first ensure that you have connected to your remote connection to your Raspberry Pi. And then again, let's just test the terminal to see whether it's up and alive. Yeah, it's up and alive. Now let's create a test script. Okay, so this time around, I'm going to call it test2.py. Okay, so nano test2.py, and you hit enter. So this will create a test2.py script for us. Now in this script, we are going to practice learning what are functions and the idea of indentations. Alright, so in Python, usually when you write code, let's say you print hi, and then you print hi 2. Right, okay, let me close. Yeah. Okay, so when you print hi and you print hi 2, hi gets printed first, followed by hi 2. Yeah, Python runs your code line by line. Yeah, so let's just test and see, to see the effects. So then let's execute the code, test2.py. Okay, so you get hi printed first and then hi 2 printed second, because it runs line by line. Yeah, okay. So now there are other instances where your code doesn't run line by line, and that's when you have functions. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at functions here. Functions are actually designed to reduce the amount of code we write. Okay, so that's the meaning behind functions and the purpose. Okay, so in order to practice that, let's delete away this code first that we have written. Alright, then what we want to do is, we want to try creating a function. Okay, so a function usually starts with this keyword def. Def is a short form for definition, so you're defining a function. A function must have a name, yeah? So I'm going to call this test function. Now the third thing about a function is it must have your round brackets, okay? And the fourth thing about a function is it must have a colon, yeah? So this tells us that we have created a function. The def keyword, the name of the function, the brackets here, which makes it different from a variable, and the colon here, which makes it different from a variable. So whatever is inside here on the next few lines is part of this test function. Yeah, test function. Def is just a keyword to tell the Python compiler we are creating a function here. This is the name of the function, test function. Okay, so whatever is inside, let's say I want to print a message. Print hi. Yeah. And then, sorry, I forgot to close whenever we print, we need to close this. Yeah. So open the quotes, then when you open the quotes, you must close the quotes. Yeah. And then let's print hi 2, and then let's call this function. Now this is an important step when you have functions. Yeah, when you have a function, you need to call it. Yeah, so what is happening here is I've created a function here. Def test function is here. What is inside the function is this. Okay, now I actually did something here which I didn't mention. Sorry, I think I went too fast. You should have, in order to create this big space here, you need to hit the tab key. So let me redo this here one more time. Yeah, apologize if I skip this step. Yeah, okay, hit the tab key, and this will give you four spaces here, approximately 4 spaces here, to say that this code actually belongs to this function. Now when you run this code, most of you might think that hi gets printed first, since Python runs line by line. But when it comes to functions, no, it doesn't do that. It just creates the function but doesn't execute it. So it will create the function, you print hi 2, and then you call this function. When you call the function, you jump to this line, and then you print whatever the function has inside the body. Okay, so let's run it one time, see it for ourselves. Then let me do another example. Okay, Okay, then let's run this code again. Now I can use back the up arrow key to get back my previous commands, so I can just run this again. So now you see that the order is reversed here, high 2 followed by high. So let's look at the code. So what happened was Python created this function, and then after that it printed high, and then it's realized that, hey, you're calling this function. So what it does, it jumps from here to there. So it looks for this function name, oh, test function, right? It comes here and then it realizes I need to print something. Okay, that's the key idea of functions, yeah. And one important thing here is the space. Now, how do we know that this code belongs to this function? By the space here, or the indentation space, or the 4 white blank spaces, yeah. Okay, so this will tell us that this code chunk belongs to this function, right? Okay, so that's the typical way. Now let's create another function to test out our theories. Okay, so this time around, okay, instead of creating another function, let's use back the same function now, okay? This time around, I'm going to go into one more idea, passing something. When you call a function here, you can actually pass it a value. Okay, so let's try and do that now. So what we are going to do here is we're going to put a variable called temp, yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to print temp. Or let's not use temp. Okay, let's use okay, let's just use temp. Okay, so the temperature is, yeah. So this idea is we are going to use a function to try and print the temperature. Now I've shown you in the earlier examples. So this is actually a argument or parameter, a function parameter, sorry. And then it's going to take the value that we pass this function and then put it here and print it out. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say we found that the temperature is 33.3. Sorry, 3. Yeah, that's a bit hot. Okay, so in degrees Celsius. Yeah, so actually we can put the units, but let's go through that in the later part. Okay, so the temperature is this much, and then it wants to print that. So let me change the message here as well. Hi there. Okay, so it says hi there, and then it will call this test function with this number, and it will print the temperature is this much, yeah. Okay, so what happens is we can pass a value inside the brackets here. So what happens is when you pass this value, this number gets transferred to this argument or parameter here. Okay, so and this parameter takes up this value and it prints out this value. So this is called the argument, and this is the parameter in the function. So you are arguing about a number, you pass that argument here, and that number gets printed out here. Why do we call it an argument? Because we can change it, yeah. So it doesn't have to be 33.3. We can argue about it. It can be 31.3. Yeah, in that sense, that's the idea behind it now. Okay, so I'm changing it to 31.3, and then let's execute this code and see. Yeah? So Control X to try and save. Hit Y, save your work, and then let's run. Okay, so when you look at this piece of code now, hi there, the temperature is 31.3. So whatever number I change in the later part of the code, I can just use back the function and call the function to print the message. Yeah. So if let's say I have more than 2 sensors, yeah. Let's say I have 3 temperature sensors. Instead of writing the print command 3 times, I can just call the print function 3 times, which saves me work and space. So let's say the second sensor is 23.3.2, the third sensor is 11.2, okay, 11.2. And let's save this, hit yes, hit enter, and then let's run this. Yeah. So you realize that I didn't have to type the message again and again, yeah. Let's imagine I had 3 sensors. Each 3 sensor, I can report all of them in just a few lines of code, where my code actually got saved, where I didn't have to copy and duplicate the code. Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we do that. Now, you might think that this is just one line, right? Now, in reality, if you're doing some complex computation, imagine if you did a calculation of temperature, let's say conversion from degree to Fahrenheit. And if you did it for each of these functions and you copy and paste the code for every different sensor, you will have what we call a lot of code redundancy. Yeah. So these functions actually help you with that. Okay, so I hope this has been quite a fruitful session, and this is just quite a quick intro on functions so that you appreciate that. The key takeaways are these are how we create functions. Please note these spaces in Python. Python is very sensitive to spaces, and spaces actually mean different points of code and how we call a function. Okay.